Hello everyone, welcome to William and the Magic Box. Today on our show, you're going to have Ryan. Ryan is from Birmingham in England, in the UK. So let's see what Ryan has to say. Enjoy the interview. Hello Ryan, how are you?
Yeah, good, thanks. Thanks for inviting me on.
Of course, the pleasure is all mine. So tell me, how was your day today?
It was good. I went to somebody's home today, did a land blessing, did a home cleansing as well. So sometimes I get out and do a little bit of that instead of just doing the one-to-one. So that was nice as well.
So tell me, what was the highlight of your day today?
What was the highlight of my day? Um, I'm one of those sort of people that I have a lot of gratitude for every moment, and I'm not trying to just say this, but so there's never a very significant thing. The whole complex of the beauty of the whole day is very important for me, if that makes sense.
Uh-huh, I see. Tell me where you're from, Ryan.
So I live in Birmingham, basically. Um, and I've lived here all my life as well.
I see. So what's the biggest joy of living in Birmingham?
Uh, these are very different questions. What would I say the biggest joy of Birmingham is? I think for me personally, it's a place that I've grown up. It has lots of memories. I'm not somebody who goes and spends loads of time out in the city centre and things like that. But for me, it's more so that Birmingham holds the memories, if that makes sense.
Totally. And what do you do for work for a living?
So I'm a shamanic practitioner.
Mhm.
So I do retreats around the world. I work with people around the world too. And I do mainly one-to-one work. I do online workshops. I do quite a lot, really. I teach people what I do as well. So it's quite a complexity of what it is that I do exactly.
All right, so let's start the interview talking about it, about your profession. So people who they don't understand or they don't know about shamanic healer, yeah. So
Mhm.
tell me, walk me through a little bit, explain to me a little bit more about it.
Yeah, so shamanism is a really huge and very complex thing to be able to talk about. And there's a lot of misconception with shamanism. And that's not because anybody's trying to, you know, misconceive anybody. It's just that there's a lot of misunderstanding because there's traditional shamanism and then there's core shamanism. And people don't always know the difference between that. So core shamanism has parts of traditional, which I'll talk about in a moment, which actually came from the 1980s. And it basically takes parts of traditional shamanism and puts it into a way that our Western mind can understand. So, traditional shamanism, depending on who you speak to, but traditional shamanism actually originated from kind of like Southern Asia, so like Mongolia, Tibet, Nepal, places like that. So
Okay.
their practices are very, very different to what we're used to, and that's where core shamanism come in, and that's where you'll hear people talking about a lot more like power animals and things like that. So in essence, there's a animalistic culture and a shamanic culture. So animalistic culture, is like what you'd find like Native Americans to be. So
Mhm.
they work with all the earth, all the elements, things like that. And we have that running through, and I'm not going to go through this too crazy, but we have that running through so many different cultures. So some people you'll see in South America, they don't work with deities or particular spirits, but they work with plant spirits, or they work with certain energies like that, or animals and things. Whereas shamanism, you work a lot more with the spirits, so it's a connection with spirit. It's very animalistic in that you understand that everything is alive, but there's very specific spirits that you'll work with and connect with. And there's a lineage that kind of comes through with that. So it's very
I-
important that you understand the lineage that you're working with traditionally as well.
Oh, wow. That's a very good explanation. My God. And something that's, it's like, for example, as a job that you do, it's something that is being on for a long time, or is something new, let's say maybe in England or in there, or it's been for a long while now.
So I'll kind of mention that the first thing you said there is the job, and what I think is really important to say is that this for me isn't a job. This is a lifestyle. It's something I have to do,
Right.
and we can definitely break into that. But for me, it's I don't wake up and think, oh right, let's go to work and be a shaman or do
Uh-huh.
shamanic work. It has to be a lifestyle. So there has to be practices. There has to be things that people don't see behind the scenes that I have to do and I have to work with and deal with. So for me, it's very much an absolute lifestyle that comes through that space.
Mm.
And depending on who you speak to, again, I say depending because it's very contradictive. That's really important to know. Shamanism is very contradictive. So, one of my friends, who I'm going to kind of say his name here, is Nicholas Breezewood. So, he is one of the top people, especially in the UK, for shamanism. And he wrote a book, Walking with the Tiger. So, I'm very fortunate to have him as a friend and as a teacher. Now, when I was born, and I'll kind of come into Nick in a moment. When I was born, I was actually born unconscious. I wasn't breathing. Now, it's believed in some shamanic cultures that you have to have had like a death experience. Now, I don't know if that makes any difference because I've kind of just been born like this, if that makes sense. I've been very different, very aware, go through life having these experiences, these profound thoughts. And then, kind of in my early 20s, things really started to kind of change for me. So I'm 33 now and I'm actually 34 next week. So
Wow.
in my early 20s, went through what's known as like a shamanic illness, so severe deep depression, misunderstanding the world. And then I had this evening that completely changed my life. And from that moment, I opened up into a world that I didn't believe existed and I thought was a load of rubbish. I sensed things, I understood it. Mom and other people talk about it. I thought, no, this is just woo-woo, it's a load of silliness. And then the path really opened and I haven't been able to move away from that in the fact that in shamanism, you are called by the spirits. It's not necessarily something you can choose in
Hmm.
my belief system and in Nick's belief system, because some people say you can step into the path of a shaman, but you can't be a shaman unless you're chose by the spirits. Because I'm just a regular human being. I'm not different than anybody else. It's just that the spirits work through me in a particular way, and I'm almost a vessel for them. Does that make sense?
Totally. I totally understand your point. As I totally believe that as well. I think it's something, as you mentioned, you don't choose that. It's something that is part of you. It's something that genuinely it's in you. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? So it's nothing that you can um, uh, choose or somehow go in that direction. It's just something that naturally it's part of being you. Get it?
absolutely. So, and the reason why I brought Nick's name into that is because I didn't realize that I was having this shamanic illness, this initiation, and it was him because he's in his 70s now, very, very well experienced shaman, been, and studied and with so many people. He's very, very knowledgeable. Three World Shamanism, if you want to follow him on Facebook.
Wow.
Um, and he also has got an Instagram. So I always give him a shout out. He's very, very good, extremely knowledgeable, got a couple of books. But it was him that kind of mentioned to me, and I told him what the experience was. And he said, Ryan, you've had what is known as this shamanic illness. And he's seen as a bit of an elder as well, in shamanism. Very wise, very, got a lot of wisdom with him.
Amazing. Okay, Ryan. So during the interview, I'm going to explore a bit more about your life and also about your journey. Okay.
Absolutely.
Are you ready to go on a beautiful journey through memories in life and share your point of views?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's do it.
Welcome to William and the Magic Box. So I have here my best friend. Of random questions. So what I'm going to do, I'm just gonna play a song just for us to relax before the first question, okay?
Hmm.
Let's do it. Right, so before we start the game, during the interview, if it comes up a question that you don't want to talk about, you don't want to answer, always can change, okay?
Yep.
Amazing. So first question for you is, what makes you feel discouraged?
Okay. Well, I think what makes me feel discouraged, I would say what used to make me discouraged. The reason why is because, there are obviously, I'm human, we all have these experiences, we all have things that kind of come up. But I've learned now to be a person that even when something happens, I can move through that space now. So even if there's a lot of stress, different things that happen, I can move through that space. Now, what used to discourage me is it was almost in a space of not feeling that I was ever really being seen. And if I felt like I was putting a lot of effort into something and it wasn't being seen, then I'd become discouraged. And I thought, okay, maybe this isn't the space where I want to be.
What's the biggest joy of being Ryan? What do you like the most about being you?
The thing that really comes through to me is the kindness that I offer to people, and how many people say to me that that comes through a space of safety for them. And I think for me, I'm a real person who tries to be an act of service for others. So for me, it's my kindness. It's something that I'm really grateful for, very joyous of, that really kind of uplifts me. It's the character that I am, if that makes sense, that I try to be as well.
And you always been this way?
Yeah. Um, yeah, I mean, I was very, very different. I was diagnosed as autistic as a child. I'm also dyslexic. And
Hmm.
as I said earlier, I really perceive the world very differently to most other people. Maybe that's because I had the whispers of the spirits when I was younger. And my mom used to say when I was a child that, she wouldn't even know if I woke up. I'd just literally sit in the bed and just be quiet and I wouldn't cry. Said I was very quiet until I hit the age of 11. She'll say I was abducted by aliens. That's what she said. But yeah, I've always been like that. I've always been that sort of person. It's been a real character of who I am.
I see. All right. Next question. Let's do it. Okay, Ryan, next question for you is, if you could change something in yourself or about yourself, what that would be and why?
Hmm. I would probably change the fact that I can't stop myself from taking too much on. I'm somebody who always I juggle 50 million plates. So I think for me
Oh,
it's learning to find that space to have more less responsibilities, may I say. Yeah.
and when you find yourself in this place when you have a lot on your plate, you feel like you have a lot of things going on at the same time, and somehow you try to do all of them or accommodate all of them. What's when you feel that you have a lot on your shoulders? What do you do for you somehow to relax a bit or maybe somehow organize that?
So for me, there's some vices that I particularly have, which sounds very silly, but we all have to have something. So for me, I really enjoy my motorbike. I really enjoy my car. So for me, when I'm in deep stress or there's a lot going on, I need that contemplation time. I will happily go out for a drive, have some music on, and I'm somebody who kind of I don't really act on the emotion that I have in that moment. So I like to
Hmm.
find that movement to process, to sit. And then I then go, okay, this is what I do. So, sometimes, especially at this time of year now, it's very difficult because it's so dark at night. Walks and things like that can be very challenging. So for me, having the movement in the car can just mean I can get out. It's easier to go through that space. But normally, it would be a bit of that space of going out, connecting through that space, if that makes sense.
And do you
And
consider, yeah, sorry.
yeah, I was going to say, and the other thing that really does help me is my morning practice. So that's kind of like my we live in shamanism, you have to learn to live within both worlds. So for me, I have this element of my humanness. So as I've just said to you about my car, my bike, my humanness. But then I've also got this other side of me that is in the non-physical part where my practice is like that spiritual food for me. So it is doing my pujas, it's doing my connection, it's doing my mantras, it's doing my offerings. And that really kind of gives me that clarity, that space then when I am definitely feeling overwhelmed or lots of these plates going on. And I need that clarity just to go, okay, where do I focus my direction right now?
Tell me about your morning ritual.
So the morning ritual for me, what it comes into, I kind of vary it around depending on what the task of the day is. So there's particular spirits that I work with that I've been empowered with, and spirits that have found me that I've had the empowerment with afterwards. So that's a big conversation to have, and that's quite an interesting one. So there's mantras and practices that are involved with those. Some of those I can't share because they are very sacred and their lineage. But there are, certain things that I do. So it could be working with like a black tea. So you call upon the spirit, the assistance of them, the help of them. And in shamanism, it's all about your relationship. So you have to, it's not just about sitting there, just throwing through it, your mantras and just getting through the rhythm. It's about, okay, do I actually feel what I'm doing? And is it authentic through that space? So you do that, and then you then do your offering. So it could be a black tea offering to that particular spirit, asking for that advice, that clarity on something that you're working with, or, maybe you'll work with like a green Tara, a white Tara, some compassionate spirits that then uplift you as well. So again, it varies on what the day needs and what I feel I need as well.
Amazing. Next question. Let's do it. All right. Before the next question, what do you like the most about being a shamanic healer, and the opposite? What do you find most challenging about it, if there is any?
Yeah, what do I enjoy about it? I was saying to somebody today that it doesn't, like I said to you as well, it doesn't feel like work to me.
Mhm.
This genuinely is a way of being. And the biggest thing for me is, I've got a very good reputation. I've got a lot of reviews, a lot of people that kind of support the work that I do. So for me, it's really about seeing that transformation. And a lot of people say that they have changed people's lives, and sometimes I don't realize that I have, and I have honestly done hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people's lives have changed because of the work. And somebody I was with today, I won't say too much, they said the same thing, and how I've really helped them move through that space. And I think sometimes, you know, we got to find that space to really connect into that. And that's something for me that's really important with it.
And there is any challenging part about it or not? Do you find anything?
Absolutely. The most challenging part of this is that people think shamanism is this absolute love and light path. And the truth of the matter is, no, it's not. There are energies, there are things that you have to deal with. You have to balance life. You have to learn to live within both worlds. It's people think that, you have this spiritual experience and you walk around walking on clouds all the time. And that's not the truth. And sometimes I've got to do my own work too. And I get challenged and I have to grow and I have to change. And there's a lot that does come through with that. And I think it's important to know the responsibility that I have. And it's not a case of, oh, I've done and I haven't done a weekend of shamanism course, because I don't think you can learn it in a weekend. Um, it's not like you just do a little bit of it and you go, oh, that's it, I figured it out now and away I go. It's a path that you have to keep evolving and developing. So it's really important that, we understand, and as I'm expressing to you now, that I think with the shamanic path, you have to really understand the growth that is needed from you, and you will be challenged through the core of your being. And that sometimes is very difficult. And you think, oh my God, some traditional people, when they're chose by the spirits, they go into the shaman and they go, is there anything you can do to stop me from being a shaman? Because I don't want that hassle. I don't want the problems. I don't want this. And it is very challenging.
Mm.
And I wouldn't take that away. I'm not saying that that's a negative. I'm just saying that that is part of what comes. That's really important.
It's amazing for you to share that, Ryan, because, of course, besides, everything you do, there's always something as well that, of course, it's still enjoyable, but it can be tiring or it can take a lot of your energy as well. You know what I mean? Everything comes with something else as well. And
Absolutely.
you know what I mean? So I get your point. Okay. Next question is, what's the best and the worst of being yourself?
Best and the worst. The best is that I am extremely positive. I am known
Mhm.
to get it done. Like my slogan is, I'll figure it out. And I always do. I always will. I never stop. I have got such energy to just keep going, keep moving, keep creating, that's a real superpower that I have, really. So that's a great thing. And just remind me of the other question that you asked me on.
And the worst of
And the
being yourself.
worst. Um, I think I will refer back to, because it's present for me now. And I wouldn't say the worst, because it's a different word than what I personally would use. But perhaps, as I said, the trait that can be difficult is the level of responsibilities that I take on, because,
Mhm.
I have so many people that are dependent on me for the work that I do, but then also the family as well. that I provide for the family and everything else, and needing to be within both of those worlds, sometimes that can be very demanding.
I see. I don't know if you believe in astrology, but what's your star sign astrology? Just for
I'm
curiosity.
Pisces.
Oh my God, so your birthday is very soon. So you mentioned like next week.
Yeah.
Oh, my mom is Pisces as well, actually. My mom.
Ah, no way.
And do you like celebrating birthdays, or for you it's just a normal day, or how do you see it?
It's just a normal day. I don't really kind of get caught up with my birthday, to be honest with you. And I mean, most people probably agree with me. I don't really think, oh, I'm this old or this is my age. And I also don't like drama around me. And what I mean by that is I don't like to be made a fuss of.
Aging for you is something that bothers you, or you just see it as a matter of life?
No, I just see it as a matter of life. I mean, I'm going to say this now because it's just what I'm feeling in this moment, but I don't see myself as being 33. I feel that I'm much older than that, if that makes sense. So, I don't think, oh, I do sometimes say jokingly, I'm still a very young man, which I am really. But then there's this part of me that's much different than that space. So no,
I
I
see.
don't, I don't really get too caught up with birthdays or the numbers that I am.
Yeah, it's interesting for me as well. I think I don't see my age. I don't feel my age. I feel, sometimes I feel older, sometimes I feel much younger. I think it depends. I think, but for me, it's just a number as well. I think I don't relate my age with things that I want to do. I want to embrace. I think it's all about how I feel. You know what I mean? That's how I get.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Cool. Next question. Hey, Ryan, next question for you is what has been the happiest point of your life so far?
The memory that comes to me straight away is being a father.
Oh my
Um,
God.
yeah,
Wow.
so I've got two boys and they are very, very incredible. Absolutely love them to pieces. So I think really becoming a father, when I was younger, I never really thought about children. I wasn't really bothered about children. Never really is my scene, but having my kids and seeing them grow and question the world and trying to figure it out is really, really beautiful.
What has been the most meaningful lesson you've learned from your kids so far?
I think it's looking at, I mean, I'm still kind of very much like that, but they remind me still because I think sometimes we have these moments of wisdom, but then we forget them. And it's about, finding the fine details in everything, looking and questioning everything that's around. It's there kind of, they're not just, I think our brain kind of blanks out reality sometimes. It kind of gets familiar with patterns and just goes, oh, that's not important, ignore it. But with children, they don't have that space. So they're constantly looking at things that you don't clock and you go, oh yeah. And we went to a play area on the weekend and I'm running around this like soft play area. And the Axel's got this tunnel and then he's like obsessed going in and out the tunnel and down the slide. And it was really fun to be in that space really of how they perceive the world.
Wow, that's amazing. Tell me something. When you think about life, what's the meaning of life for you?
The meaning of life for me is about finding a meaning that is relevant for you personally. And that's different for everybody. And my meaning of life really is finding the space of growth, of joy and connection. That's the really important part of it, is how we connect with one another. How do we, serve each other in that space, if that makes sense. And sometimes it's a smile on the street with somebody, sometimes it's asking more questions. But for
Mhm.
me, it's really that connection with those around us and the connection of everything that we see and perceive.
Tell me a person in your life that when you are feeling the lowest, for some reason, we have those days, those moments, this person comes to your mind for some reason for you to share it or to open up a little bit or maybe just to talk a little bit. And the same person, when you're feeling the happiest, you feel like, oh my God, I need to share that right now with this person. Who comes to your mind?
I don't really, because like I said, I'm not emotionless, but my emotions, I never really act on emotions, if that makes sense. So I don't have somebody specific that go, I've got to speak to them or I've got to tell that person. I'm very much, I kind of keep myself to myself. I do obviously have those friends around me. I have a very small circle, but there's
Okay.
nobody in particular that go, I've got to call that person. I've got to tell them, if that makes sense.
And there is a friend that you feel more connected with or more close to right now?
No, I mean all of my friends that I connect with, we're all on this level of growth and connection, and we share and we talk. And sometimes it could be we don't talk for a week, sometimes we don't talk for a month, sometimes it's talk for a couple of days while we're going, experiencing or growing something or advice on something. So there's no kind of one set experience on that, if that makes sense.
Okay, so those friends, they're watching this interview right now and have a moment, an opportunity to send them a message. What would you say they're watching?
Yeah, I'm sure one of them will be at least.
What would you say?
What would I say to them?
Yeah, a message, or what would you like to say to them?
I think I think for me, and I'm going to make this general for the friend
Yeah.
group that I have, is
Uh-huh.
that and this is for everybody actually watching, really. I think, this could be for everybody, is that the truth is that sometimes, we can have these little blips of moments where we question our ability or our growth that we can do. But it's knowing that there's people around us that support us and push us through. And sometimes we don't see the ability that we have, and we need a reminder. So I'm giving those people a reminder that you have absolutely got this. You've got to trust in yourself, because I do trust in you and I see the ability that you have.
Amazing. 3 questions left. Let's do it. You like dancing?
And yeah, I do a few cacao ceremonies and things like that. So yeah.
Before the next question, alternative holistic service. Question for you: how do you see nowadays? Do you think that's something that people they are more open about it? Do you think that's something that people they are more educated, or there is still maybe a stigma there that needs to be broken somehow? How do you see that based on your experience?
In the UK, we're one of the most leading holistic countries in the world now, and
Um,
we and me personally, I have a lot of people come to me from actual, from the NHS. I have psychologists that come and see and work with me. I have police officers. I have people that you wouldn't believe. I mean, I had somebody very recent who's a psychologist. I have somebody who works with professional footballers, who does all, different type of work. I have an absolute variety of different people, and I think, we are still in a space where we don't fully understand what is
mhm.
truly going on. And I'm not here to try and convince anybody that
Oh,
this is all real, because for some people it doesn't exist, and I think that's really
totally.
important to say. Um,
Yeah.
but what is really important is that the world is really awakening to an alternative approach, because we need to go back to who we actually are. And I think we've really lost that. And a lot of people are really striving to find the meaning of themselves, find who they are, really find that real connection. And there's so many different modalities out there that can help people go through that space. So, I've had people come to me who have literally sent their husbands in or their partners in who don't believe it. And then they leave and they're like, I don't know how you told me about this, how you know about that. Doesn't make sense, but oh my God, that's opened me and made it incredible. So I think being in the UK doing this type of work, I think is very beautiful. There is still some stigma around it,
Mhm.
of people kind of question it. I still find that I do share what it is that I do, but if people ask me and I've never met them and I don't know them at first, I'll always say, "Oh, I deal with people's kind of mental health. I'm a bit of like a counselor," and then the conversation opens subject to the person, because people don't always understand it, and sometimes people have this negative idea of some of the
Yeah.
spiritual world, because, and I'm not going to go into this too much, but like Christianity, an example, which is, was quite big in the UK. It's not so much now. The priest was the one who held the wisdom, and he got all of his knowledge from a book, and everybody had to see him on a platform. And there was all this kind of like level difference with it. And they kind of said, "Oh, this is demonic, this is evil, this is bad." And my grandparents are actually Jehovah's Witnesses. And about 2 years ago, they cut me out of their life because they believed I worked with the devil. And they were like, this is all wrong. And I'm like, yeah, but if you read all the reviews, all the things that I'm doing, all the people's lives I'm changing, I don't see how you see that's possible. And I said, for me, if you believe that I am going to, not be born and die and never live again. I said, I'm willing to sit here and know that I'm sacrificing myself for everybody else's benefit of their life. I said, that to me is absolutely fine. everybody has a different belief system. So I think sometimes some thoughts like that are still deeply ingrained in people's DNA and thought
Mhm.
processes that they're scared of sharing these experiences they have. And I think a lot of people do have these different experiences, but they don't know how to word it because, especially in the UK, there's been a lot of culture that's been lost.
I see. And I think as well, right, I think at the end of the day, I think even though maybe if you believe in something or if you have your mind, made about something, I think all of us we have those things. However, just be open-minded or just try to see that someone is doing good to others. So, it comes from a good place. So even though it's for you something maybe you're scared of maybe getting into it, or maybe you are afraid or you don't want to, it's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But I
Yeah.
think if we, of course, respect always. However, if you see someone doing something good, even though it's not part of your beliefs, amazing. They're doing something good to others. So I think that's the main,
Yeah.
the main thing about, you could call religion or alternative, holistic, could be anything. But as long as people are doing good to others, I think that's the main thing.
Yeah, and I just want to add on what you've said there as well. I mean, I remember very early on in my experience, there was, and I'm not going to mention names, but there was a particular person who was very well known, very well established, wrote a lot of books. And I don't really read books, but somebody had kind of said, you want to read this. So I read a little bit of it. I thought, okay, that's really interesting. And then the particular character, now my viewpoint's changed, and I'm sharing this very openly. And at the time, I thought, they were taking pictures of like these flashy trainers and these weird positions and like next to this car and this. And I thought, that's not very spiritual, was what my head said. And then later on, I come to realize that actually, if you look at a ladder, none of the steps on the ladder are any more important. It's like you look at the top step and think, oh, that's more important than the bottom step, but it's not. They're all part of that process. And I think it's really important, like you've said there, is that, the practices can be so different, but it's
Yeah.
it's the purpose that the person is doing behind that matters the most. And
Mhm.
I think the experience I learned from that is that that person was on a level that resonated with me at that time at the beginning, and that was something that I needed. And there's many people that resonate with those sort of people. So even if you feel that that's not right for you, and you think, oh, that person's, in fact, there's somebody out there who will learn and develop from that.
Amazing. Okay, next question for you is, where are you planning to go for your next holidays?
So I'm not really a holiday person, but when I say I'm not a holiday person, I like to do retreats and things like that. Now,
Hmm?
this year will be the first year which I'm still organising. I'm hopefully have that sorted in the next couple of weeks, which I've been saying now for a few weeks. But I'm doing a pilgrimage through Nepal, so I'm taking people through Nepal. So I'm
Wow.
really looking forward to that. I've just come back from Bali as well, so I did a retreat with my friend Manny. Um, so if people have seen some of my posts, they'll see him collaborated in those. So yeah, I tend to kind of go to the Amazon rainforest, going to Nepal, Bali, different place like that, and that's kind of for me is a place of the holiday for that. And obviously, things with the family and stuff as well. But for me, those are the big trips that really mean the most to me. Because for me, I'm not a sit round the pool kind of guy.
Yeah, I think again, it's just a different way of seeing, holidays or travel or health is, again, it's all about how you see and how you feel, and that's the main thing for sure.
Yeah.
The questions left. Let's do it. Next question is, are you becoming the person you thought you would become?
Yes. Yeah.
Tell me how and why.
Well, when this path started to open up for me, I knew that this was the direction that I was going in. I didn't know
Hmm.
exactly at the beginning, but I knew that I wanted to serve others. And I didn't sit there and think, oh, I want to be a shaman. That wasn't even in my reality at that time when this all started to happen. And I did a sacred Lakota pipe ceremony with my friend, which was Native American pipe ceremony with Nick. And during that, I was kind of had the experience that I really got to step into more of the elder role with the way that I present myself in the world. And I do like to be worldly as well. I like to live in both worlds, as I mentioned.
Hmm.
But who am I becoming is really powerful for me because I want to be in a position where I feel that I'm so trusting of myself to navigate the world in a powerful way that I'm leading people in the way that is me not saying anything. It's just the actions of who I am. So I'm human. Yes, I make mistakes. Yes, I still have trauma that plays out through me. And it's not about abandoning those. That's really important. And that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is embracing myself, but becoming the best version of myself that I can hold that space for my family. And I want my children to grow up and look at me and go, do you know, my dad is such a great father figure. And that's really where I want to be, is that I lead, what a family man should be.
I just you describing all of that. A question just came to my mind naturally. Of course, you know already your gift, you know already your past, you know already what you came this world for. However, there is a time of your day or a time of a week or a, a day that somehow you can disconnect from yourself, that you are serving others, you are serving people, or it's always there in you. You know what I mean? Of course, you're always gonna be
Yeah.
yourself. It's like running a business. People they have their business, and sometimes, for example, the Magic Box for me is not a business yet, but for me, even though when I'm not doing the interviews, it's always here. Even on my, I'm showering, I'm traveling, whatever I'm doing, there's always the Magic Box with me because I love doing it. So my question for you is, there is a time or a time of the day or a time of the year or the month or the week that for you, you can literally, you know, not being somebody else, but you know what I mean? Just somehow
Decompress
transport
from that.
yourself to a different yourself.
Yeah, I think there is really importance with that. I do have a boundary in place, and obviously it's very hard for those that are watching this and connecting with me to understand. I'm not saying this from an arrogance point of view, but I am very, very intuitive, and when I look at people, I can tell them everything about themselves without needing to know anything. And a
Crazy.
conversation was arise today. It was like, does it not feel weird for you to be able to just open that space up with anybody and see them? And I said, but it's a choice. I choose when I want to be in that or when I don't. So when I shut the door or when I'm like, okay, now I'm out of my space and I've closed it down, I want to be Ryan. When I walk down the street, I don't want to be sensing things and doing this and doing that. I want to have the human experience of walking around the shops and just being a human. I don't want to know everything. I don't want to see everybody's energy and figure it all out. Sometimes I just want to switch off and I want to put a bit of music on in the car that's not spiritual. Sometimes I like a bit of drum bass. Sometimes I like a little bit of heavy metal. That's kind of the stuff that comes up for me is I like to have my moments of humanness. And I think that's really important that yes, there is Ryan, this Dorje Rangdol that is this shaman, this healer, but there's a Ryan there too. And I think sometimes people don't always see that, which is fine because that's for me, that's my personal energy that I like to be with, and those closest to me will be around that. So yeah, if that makes sense, if that's answered your
It
question.
does. Absolutely, you did. And when those people they see you, let's say in a way they don't expecting to see you, they they have a reaction. They go like, "Oh my God, I
Yeah.
couldn't expect, I couldn't see you this way."
Yeah.
Really, I can
So,
imagine.
yeah. So when I'm on retreat, people really see this. Like people jokingly say to me, "There's one way, Ryan, you're like the most wise person I've ever met in my life." And then there's this other part of you that's so childish. I can't believe that you're like this spiritual leader and all these other words that people use. And it's like, yeah, but I like to have this contrast of who I am. It's like, yeah, I can step into the role of being this leader, this, and all these other words. And I'm avoiding some of the words because I still don't feel comfortable about them. But, and then you have this absolute silly inner child of me that is so compassionate and shows different way of working, if that makes sense.
Talking to you as well, I just remember now I had an interview with a lovely man from Holland, and he's a medium. Yeah. And you
Hmm.
said something interesting that, for example, when you go out or you can somehow disconnect and not seeing whatever, what you want to see.
Yeah.
And he mentioned that, but he cannot. And most of, actually, I'm going to send the interview, good watch, it's a very interesting interview. And he mentioned about that he doesn't go out or he doesn't attend parties because he cannot control that. And for
Yeah.
him, it's really difficult because it's a lot of noise and it's a very amazing interview. I'll send you the link if you'd like to have a look just for you because
Yeah.
we talk a lot about that. And,
Yeah.
his median, and it's an interesting life story because it's connected with his dad that was they didn't know each other and suddenly when they met it's a beautiful story. And he mentioned that, said, Lydia, I literally don't go out, or I tend not to go out because it's a lot of information happening for me and I cannot avoid that, something that I cannot
Yeah.
control. So it's very interesting. When you said
Yeah,
that, straight away it brought me to that interview I
yeah.
had. I'll send
It,
the link
it,
for you.
it's probably it's not for me to answer the question on with it without the ins and outs of it. It's probably that he hasn't got a great enough relationship with his spirits to have boundaries in place with them, because you do
Hmm.
have to have boundaries, and it's probably he's boundaryless. So, and I'm going to be careful what I'm going to say because I'm already tapping into his energy a little bit. But boundaries is a very big thing.
I see. Okay, last question. Ready?
Yeah.
Let's do it. Last question. But before the last question, as a shamanic healer, tell me a moment. I'm sure you have like thousands of moments in your career. I wouldn't say career because it's not a career, it's you.
Yeah.
You know, you see, I've already watched myself, already understood. Tell me a moment in your life related to that for you, again, have a lot, but for some reason, you have close to your heart, or somehow, as you said, so many feedbacks from people that somehow you touch their lives. But
Yeah.
there is a moment that for you, you go like, you know what? I will always remember that moment. If you can share, of course.
I have got so many of them. Honestly, I have so many. Um, there's one memory that I will share. Well, there's quite a few. I mean, I've had quite a few people that have sat in front of me and I didn't know that they were feeling suicidal, and they've said, Ryan, it's because of you I haven't killed myself. And that is
Wow.
so I kind of I take it in my stride, but then afterwards I kind of listen to it and I go, that was a really big moment. And I've had quite a few of those moments where people have said that they felt very suicidal, and because of me, they've now come out of that space. And I'm not going to say who they are, but one of the people who was like that has absolutely changed their lives, and I am so proud of them. And
Wow.
they are really stepping into their path. So if you're watching this, you know who you are. You told me in the session, and I am so proud of you. We've worked closely, and you are really stepping into your path that you wanted to do, and I'm really proud of you. And so, yeah, there's that. But there's one moment that I do want to share, and I before I stepped into doing this full time, because obviously I do this full time now. I was driving. I used to do a little bit of HGV, so I genuinely could write a book on my life. There's so many things that I've done, and I I did some HGV driving while COVID was in, because obviously that completely kiboshed a lot of things for a lot of people. So I did a bit of truck driving. So I started work at 2 a.m. and I drove to work. And on the way, there was a gentleman stood by a motorway bridge, and he was on the bridge, and someone just said, just stop. And I put my window down. And I said, hey, dude, you okay? I call everybody dude. I said, dude, you okay? And he didn't respond to me. And I was like, and I said it a little bit louder, hey, dude, you okay? Is everything all right? And he didn't respond to me. So I got out my car and I walked up to him. I put my arm on his shoulder, kind of around the side of him. And I says, hey, dude, you all right? Everything okay? And he had a bottle of alcohol on the actual kind of barrier of this bridge. It was over a motorway bridge, this was. And I says, hey, you okay? And he just started crying because I can't do this anymore. And he went to jump over the bridge and I grabbed him and I said, hey, what's going on? Talk to me. And I really diffused that with him and really gave him a lot of compassion. He was a very young man. He was about 22 years of age. And
Oh,
he was, feeling like everything had gone from his life. He'd lost his partner, he'd lost his house, he couldn't pay for his car anymore. He was about to lose his job because he was an alcoholic, and he was really struggling with all these things. And I said, look, you know, life can be very difficult, but you haven't lived long enough to know that you can make through this. And gave him so many experiences. And he says, well, I'm going to kill myself. And he said, but I might come back and be a rat. And I said, well, look, if you come back and be a rat, what about if you come back and be you again, meaning that you have to work through what it is that you haven't figured out this lifetime? Why don't we figure that out now so you don't have to do this again? Let's make life better. So we had this real big conversation around this and helped him really understand kind of what was going on, which was extremely beautiful. And he really connected with me, but he was so full of anger at that time. He says, Ryan, he said, I can't be angry with you. You need to call the police because I need to get this out. And I said, okay, but you need to come away. He said, if you want, you can come to work with me. Come to work with me. Come and spend the day with me. We'll have a chat. I'll buy you lunch for the day if you want. Come on, let's go. And he was like, no, I can't. So I called the police anyway. The police turned up and says, "Hey, you okay?" And they just grabbed him and took him. And then I asked the police to keep me updated. And it turned out that this was his third or fourth attempt.
Oh,
And when I was a young child, and I was about 7 or 8, maybe, I can't remember the exact age, we had a stepdad that actually killed himself. So, having suicide's a really big thing for me personally, is trying to stop people going through that space because of that wound that I have, perhaps, um, which, is it's really important that we understand that space that people have been in and how difficult life can be. And I've had people that go, oh, they're just wimping out. It's really easy for people. But if anybody's watching this and has felt suicidal, you're obviously finding life really, really difficult, and that's okay. But I'm telling you, you've had many moments that have been very difficult, and you will come out the other side of that. And it's very easy to sit here and say, go and reach out to somebody, and you might be saying, I've got nobody to speak to. But you'll be really surprised that when you tell somebody how you're truthfully feeling, that there will be so many people that will support you and help you and love you. And even strangers, the universe, God, whatever you believe in, will put somebody in that path for you to help you to get you in the right way. And, there is such magic that you can get through.
wow. Thanks for sharing, Roy. I think it's amazing, this story, and I think those moments, it's just you're never gonna forget. You meant to be there for sure, for sure. You meant to be there, and I think somehow, I'm sure those people appreciate that somehow for sure. It's
Yeah.
powerful.
Thank you.
Okay, last question for you is: tell me 3 fun facts about yourself.
Oh, God. I'm not very good at talking about myself in that particular way. Um, you say 3 fun facts?
About yourself. Could be
Okay.
random fact. Yeah,
Okay.
what comes?
So I am extremely good at driving very fast and riding motorbikes very fast. And I'm about this far off getting my elbow off the floor on a motorbike.
Oh
So I've
my
done
God.
track days and things like that. So I'm extremely good like that. Um, oh, another fun fact.
By the way, I cannot picture you doing that. By the way, it's so funny how.
People don't expect it, but I am very, very fast. Um, Probably a past life, who knows? Um, I don't know, to be honest. It's not a question that I've ever really been asked before and that I've ever really thought about, if that makes sense. I think my life is so evolved around my family and so evolved around the serving of others and the connection that I have that I don't really know that question.
Tell me, as a child, like a fun fact about your childhood. That's maybe what comes to your mind when you think about your childhood memories.
I spent a lot of my childhood outside, a lot of it,
See?
a lot of my childhood outside, connecting with friends, with nature. I cycled absolutely everywhere. And I'll give you this one actually. I used to do a lot of cycling. There was one time where I used to do about 40 to 50 miles a day just to cycle to and from work.
Wow.
Yeah. So I was a huge cyclist.
See, another fun fact. And another question. Tell me the very first time when you saw your first child born. Tell me the feeling. Tell me the emotions. How did you feel about it? I'm sure it was a moment that you're never gonna forget, but tell me your feelings about it at the
It was
time.
actually very difficult, in the fact that it wasn't about becoming a father that was difficult. It was the situation. I nearly lost my partner at the time that she'd lost so much blood. It was so difficult that I was so holding that space for her, keeping it all together. And then my son came, and it was just an absolute flood of tears of the relief that he's safe and that she's safe. And then it was a very spiritual, very magical moment from that point. But it was she was so unwell for a number of days.
Wow.
That she wasn't able to feed him or do anything or chat. And I stayed awake for 3 days. I didn't go to sleep for 3 days so I could take care
Wow.
of my son to make sure that my partner was safe.
Wow. Right, so then yet, let's play now the word association game. Okay, I'm going to say some words. Just tell one word that comes to your mind. Quick thinking. Let's start with money,
The word that came was success,
family,
home,
fear,
laughter,
life,
joy,
love,
happiness,
religion,
Peace.
Sex.
Enjoyable.
Politics.
Not bothered.
Friendship.
Joyous.
Desire.
Passionate.
Regret.
Joyful.
Success.
Business.
Wish.
No word comes with that. That one's blank, that one.
Okay. Happiness.
Joyful.
One word for Birmingham.
Bull.
Bull.
Bull, yeah, we have the bull. So there's like the bull ring, so we have the bull.
Amazing. England. One word.
Cold.
Really?
Yeah, raining. You know about England, it's raining.
It's been very cold this week for sure. One word for shamanic healer.
Human.
And the last one now, the name of the tag of your Instagram, and I can see as on your Zoom, the heart shaman. One word.
Yes. The heart shaman.
Shaman.
Yeah.
One word for it.
One word for it. Heart. It is the absolute truth. Heart led, just heart.
Let's pretend now I'm going to be your best friend for a coffee, and I'm going to ask your best friend. Define Ryan in one positive and one negative word only. What your best friend would say about you.
Ryan abandons himself for everybody else.
Is it a positive or negative?
That's it. I say that's a negative.
Joking.
The positive is that Ryan is I will figure it out kind of person. He will push it through, work it out, and support everybody through that space too.
Amazing. Let's play now, Ryan, in the magic box, and you can ask me a question. But before asking the question, what is being spiritual for you?
I think it's about coming into a space of truth, because everybody gets very compassionate about what spirituality is and what they think it is. I think everybody's spiritual. Nobody's not spiritual. Everything is magnificent. Everything is alive. Everything around us has come from the earth. So I think the truth is really connecting into the authenticness of what you believe. And also, as you said earlier, everybody's got different ways of showing up with that as well.
Okay, you can ask me a question now.
Yeah. So in the moments where you find that life isn't as joyous and you feel that you have to show up as joyous, how do you navigate those moments?
When I'm not feeling like the best or okay? Great question, actually. You know what? I through my life, I've learned that the best way for me, to go through it when it hits me, it's just talking to it. I I'm literally talk to me or to the situation. I go like, okay, you are here now. It's happening. Feel it. It's not gonna go away. If for some reason it's happening to you, I see life. It's life talking to me. I think these moments, literally, I said, okay, he's happening now. Literally, last time when I felt, sad or drained for some reason, I felt like, oh my God, it's happening here now. So let's see why I'm feeling like that. Why this feeling it's taking over me. And in a moment, I feel gratitude. I know it sounds a bit weird, but I feel grateful for that moment, right? Because I feel like first I need to go through it. It's just I need to. It meant to happen for me to learn a lesson, to understand more about myself, to understand how I'm gonna deal with it. And I think I have this moment. The older I get, when those moments come along, I literally embrace it and I literally talk through it. I go like, okay, it's here now. What's happening? Why it's meant to be? And sometimes I even laugh about it. I go like, okay, William, what you gonna do now? Literally I have those moments with myself and somehow comforts me a little bit about the situation. It doesn't go away because it's there. However, I just go like, okay, it's happening. It's literally, it's about being the moment. It brings me to the moment because sometimes we have those moments when you are happy, when you are in the normal days, we are thinking ahead, we're in another space, we are in another situation. But when we are facing those moments, actually, I never thought about that. When you are facing that moment, that's when you ground yourself. That's when you feel the present because it brings you to the present, those feelings. you cannot run away. And sometimes I go like, if I could take a pill to take this away, oh, it would be amazing. It's like going through a breakup, yeah. When you go through a breakup, it's horrible, it's terrible. If you could have a pill to take it, like, oh my God, I'm feeling great right now. So back to your question, the way I nowadays I face it, it's about accepting, talking through it, and sometimes even laugh about it, and just I think the main word to say accepting. I'm just all of this about accepting that, because it's not gonna go away. There's no other way for you to go. You need to navigate through it and understand that for one reason or another, it's just meant to happen for you to understand. It's life talking
Yeah.
to you. That's how I see. And that's my answer for you.
Beautiful.
Did you enjoy the interview?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much for your time. Really appreciate it. And there's some questions there that you've raised, and I think it's worthwhile me sitting and reflecting on those well. So that's been really good. Definitely a different style of questions.
Thanks again, Ryan. Thanks again for taking the time. I know you're a busy man, and I think nowadays we are so busy with our own lives that when someone take their time for us, it's precious. So I appreciate your time. Appreciate you for to bring your knowledge, to bring more, a little bit more shamanism. Yeah, say right.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you bring more. Some it's good for people to understand a bit more as well. I think it's good for people to somehow be curious about it and ask questions and somehow bring something different. I think it's amazing to learn. It's amazing to navigate through different tribes, you could tell, or different spaces, or different things, and see someone talking so open about it. So thanks for bringing your knowledge as well here. And it's amazing. It was nice to connect with you. And before you go, if you can share a positive message or anything that you live by.
I really believe that what I want to leave with everybody in this moment, kind of concluding now is in this space is that life is becoming very overwhelming for many people, and that's okay. I too get into it. Everybody does. There is not one person I've met who's got life fully figured out. And it doesn't matter who you are, it doesn't matter what you do. Everybody's just winging it. Doesn't matter, who you think you're talking to. Nobody knows what the hell they're doing. So you're doing your best for
Mhm.
everybody. And I'm really grateful that people have listened to this space and continuing to listen. But for themselves, I ask that you trust yourself more and know that whatever it is you're going through, it always comes to an end, no matter whatever it is.
Amazing. Very good. Regards to your family and friends, and keep in touch. It was a pleasure having you on the show. Okay, have a good night.
Thank you very much.
Take care. Bye bye.
Blessings. Thank you. Bye.
So, did you like the show? Don't forget to give a like, share it, and also don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And if you'd like to be part of the show as well, first subscribe to our channel, and after that just go to our website www.williamandthemagicbox.com and send us a request saying why do you like to be part of the show. And I see you there. Bye bye, see you next time.